shout it out. Do you think yum? You think you might want to drink that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's be easy. All right, all right. So how about this one?
Oh,
Yeah.
French fries.
You're shaking your head no. Some people don't like McDonald's, but for most people they think yum. I want to eat some of that. All right, and how about this one? Oh, chocolate. All right, yeah. Most people want to eat some chocolate now. I know I do. All right, so we're going to take a look at what's actually going on that makes you want to eat and drink those things. So what happens is you have a cue in your environment, which could be any of those things, or French fries, for example. And what happens is you sense it somehow. So you can see it or you can smell it, and when you sense it, it sends a signal to your brain. And this tells you, hey, I want to drink that, or I want to eat that. That looks good to me. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. So what's really going on in the brain is we all have what we call the reward pathway. And this is a certain part of your brain that's activated when you see these different cues. So when you see those French fries, or you see that chocolate, or that can of soda. And that tells you, hey, I really want to go eat that, I really want to go drink that, which makes you go out and buy that food, or buy that pop, and drink it and eat it. So we can look even closer. And so we have a couple pictures here. And what these are just different cells in your brain. So there are special cells in your brain that we call neurons. So what we have here is one neuron here and another neuron down here. So a first neuron releases something that we call dopamine. And this is a chemical that's released from one neuron, and it sends a signal that says, hey, I want to eat that, or I want to drink that. So this dopamine is released when we see these different cues. So when we see those French fries, or that chocolate, or that can of pop, it tells us, yum, I want that.
So I was just talking about food cues, which is one type of cue, but there's also another one called drug cues. So what do you guys think of when you see this? Drugs, right? Well, some people are addicted to cigarettes, and they really, really want cigarettes after they see this picture. And so what happens is, it's the exact same thing that happens with you guys when you see the food. So you see a cigarette package, or you smell the smoke, and that message goes to your brain, and it leads to you, or these people that are addicted to cigarettes really, really want to smoke. And so it involves the same dopamine molecule you just saw, but with food, there's kind of a few molecules. But if someone's addicted to drugs and they see a drug cue like this, they get this huge flood of dopamine, which makes them really, really want and crave this drug that they're addicted to. And so that's why people have such stronger addictions to drugs than things like food or drinks.
All right, so what we just did is we formed a synapse, and that's the space between two cells. So normally in your real brain, this would be really, really, really tiny, and you would need a microscope to see it, right? Because cells are really small. But we're going to pretend it's a little bigger. And you guys are going to be one cell, and you guys are going to be another. So, does anyone remember the special name for these cells in your brain? Neurons, right? You got it. So you guys are one neuron, and you guys are another neuron. And if you guys pick up these buckets are going to represent what's called receptors. And receptors have the job of receiving messages. So in this case, we're going to send some messages. And Brennan's going to pass out these bean bags and stuff. And this is going to represent that special chemical messenger in your brain that sends messages to tell you you want something. Does anyone remember the name of that? Dopamine, right, you got it. So that was on the poster, that was the orange dots that were going between the cells. Represent the dopamine this time. And if you guys can remember, first just tell me, what happens when you see a cue like this? You want it. So what does the dopamine do? Just a little, right? So show me just a little dopamine going and try to catch it. A little bit more, maybe. Oh, you're going to come back to this side if you can. Take more than one. Okay, so receptors, you guys can give the dopamine back to this side.
Derek gets dopamine out of
Alright, so now, receptors, are you ready? We're going to pretend that we're the brain of a smoker and someone who's addicted to cigarettes. So if we're the brain of a smoker and you smell smoke or you see this, now what happens to dopamine? Easy. Alright, good job, good job. So now, if before when we had the food and we got those dopamine over to the next part, to the next cell, and that said I want it, what do you think this said to your brain? You really want it, right? So that's like a craving, okay? So now we're going to explain what happens to your brain if you're addicted.
Okay guys, so on this poster up here we have two pictures of two different brains. And can everybody see? Okay, so in this brain, this represents a healthy brain, and then over here we have an addicted brain that's diseased. And the different lights between the two different pictures represent brain functioning, and as you can see, there's something really different going on in this brain from a healthy brain, right? And so down here, these two pictures represent hearts. And in this image, you can see much like the healthy brain up here, it's functioning, and over here, there's a very different function, as like you can see up here in this diseased brain. And this heart represents someone who has cardiac disease, whereas this heart represents a healthy person. So what we can take from this comparison is that just like people with cardiac disease, there's something diseased about the brain of the addict, and that's what makes it function differently from a healthy brain. And so the important thing to learn from this is that people who have addiction and have this compulsive wanting and seeking of drugs, they don't compulsively seek the drugs because there's something bad about them or because they have moral defects. It's because they have this brain disease, right? It's a biological disease. And so, but it's also important to know that people who try drugs once, like someone who smokes one cigarette, it doesn't automatically mean that they're going to develop addiction. Because there's some people who try a cigarette once and maybe they don't even want it again. And there's some people who try one and maybe they want it a little bit. But the thing that's different about addicts is when they try drugs, they want it really bad again. But you also don't want to smoke cigarettes ever because they're bad for you regardless. And you never know, like if you try a cigarette, maybe you'll find out you're one of those people who compulsively wants more. So it's better to just never even touch drugs. And you'll make sure that you have a healthy brain like this and not a diseased brain like this.
Ooh.
Does anybody have any questions? Not at all? About anything?